Call of Duty needs to completely reinvent itself, and most importantly, it needs a brand new engine. Like, no doubts about it. It's been using the same engine since, like, what, COD 4? It's archaic, and the game needs to change. Except for the fact that that's bullshit, and we're going to talk about why. So, sit down, grab a drink, turn off your lights, and hope you enjoy. One of the things I hear a lot in my chat when I'm streaming or in my comment section or on Twitter is that Call of Duty needs to reinvent itself and it needs a brand new engine. And today we're going to be talking why that's bullshit, and we're going to start with the engine discussion. Call of Duty uses the IW engine, which is a game engine that was developed by Infinity Ward, Treyarch, and Sledgehammer Games for the Call of Duty series. And the engine was originally based on ID Tech 3, which is what the original Call of Duty game used. But Call of Duty needs a new engine, right? It's been using the same engine since Modern Warfare. Well, I will link the Wikipedia page about the IW engine down in the description, and also I will link a video from Exclusive Ace where he talks about this in way better detail than I will. But Call of Duty Modern Warfare, the first one, used the IW 3.0 engine in 2007. This engine added bullet penetration, improved AI, lighting engine upgrades, particle system enhancements, ragdoll physics, self-shadow every frame. It was a pretty innovative engine. And then World at War used the exact same one, and I think the last game that used it was Black Ops in terms of the Call of Duty franchise. And maybe that's why Black Ops is kind of known for being a bit of a chuggy Call of Duty. It was using a bit of an old engine. In fact, it was using an older engine than Modern Warfare 2. Modern Warfare 2 used IW 4.0, and Black Ops used IW 3.0. So is that why Modern Warfare 2 just feels considerably better than Black Ops 1 in terms of its performance? Maybe. But if we scroll all the way down here and through all the different iterations, the last one on the list here is Call of Duty Infinite Warfare, which used the IW 7.0 Next Gen engine. And in my opinion, Infinite Warfare has the best iteration of the COD engine at its fingertips. That game ran beautifully smooth and just beautifully. What I want from a Call of Duty game is that it balances properly performance and visual. The visuals should never be so good that the frame rate tanks, and vice versa. A good example of a game that pushes way too hard for 60 FPS is definitely Halo 5. Before the Xbox One X upgrade, Halo 5 had a problem with its visuals because it was pushing so hard for 60 FPS. Other things like ambient occlusion, lighting, texture filtering were all turned way down. Some of the multiplayer maps in Halo 5 look like they were made by a high school student on a Windows XP machine back in early 2000s. And that's the trade-off you have to have for a smooth 60 frames. That's why Call of Duty is so impressive to me, because it always hits a really good 60 frames per second gameplay target without making their games look like hammered shit. Now again, I encourage you to click on those links in the description below if you want to know more about the engine. The thing is the average consumer isn't having the IW engine advertised to them in the way that engines like Frostbite are. DICE and EA made a really good decision to advertise the Frostbite engine alongside their game, because then when the average consumer sees Frostbite 2 turn into Frostbite 3, they get very excited. A whole new engine. But no, it's really not. Just in the same way that Call of Duty Ghosts used the IW6 engine and Infinite Warfare used the IW7 engine, Battlefield 3 used Frostbite 2 and Battlefield 4 used Frostbite 3. Now within that comparison, listen carefully, within that comparison, the extent of the similarities between the differences between the two Frostbite versions and the two IW engine versions will probably never be known to the public. But hopefully that gives you an idea that Call of Duty changes up its engine every release. These developers now have over 2 years to work on a Call of Duty game, about 3 years to be exact. We usually find out what the next Call of Duty is going to be after the 2.5 years, and then they have another half year before the game is released. So again, look at those links and really think about it. Because it's very fascinating to me that when Rainbow Six Siege has an issue, oh Ubisoft, and Battlefield has an issue, oh DICE, but when Call of Duty has an issue, it's oh fuck whatever developer is working on that Call of Duty, and it needs a new engine. Why? Now, I am not saying that Call of Duty doesn't need a new engine, I'm saying that it is using a new engine. It's not like Call of Duty World War II is using the exact same engine as Infinite Warfare. And I'm sorry, in my personal experience from playing a lot of Call of Duty, a lot of Battlefield, a lot of Halo, a lot of Doom, and a lot of Titanfall, I'm sorry, these games aren't perfect. Frostbite engine has tons of glitches. Graphical, physics-based, whatever it might be, they have their issues. Frostbite has issues. Whatever engine is used on Rainbow Six Siege has issues. The Source engine has issues. The ID Tech engine has issues. I have never seen, you have never seen, we will never see a perfect game engine. I am very impressed that Call of Duty balances visuals and performance every year. The last couple of Call of Duty games could be used as a graphical showcase. Even if you don't like the art style or the animation style, the quality of graphics cannot be disputed, especially for the performance target it's trying to reach on console. The next thing I hear is that Call of Duty really needs dedicated servers. This makes me fucking laugh every time. Call of Duty fucking has dedicated servers, it just doesn't have a server browser. It's kind of funny. If the game doesn't have a server browser, if the game doesn't scream, we have dedicated servers, if the game doesn't advertise its engine, then it needs a new engine and it doesn't have dedicated servers. Call of Duty does also use listen servers, which are peer-to-peer servers. These are rarely used if you live in the United States and certain areas in Canada. Now, if you live in other places, specifically more rural areas, you might not always connect to these dedicated servers. And that is unacceptable. Activision, in my opinion, needs to put enough money into the servers that no matter where you live or where your area is, you can always connect to a dedi. But it was really interesting this last weekend when Call of Duty World War II had to shut down its dedicated servers to fix them, and the game just switched to purely peer-to-peer. I didn't want that to come out that way, that was stupid, but either way, when the game went to only listen servers, it was a noticeable difference. It was bad. I compared it to playing World at War on the 360. And then the dedicated servers are now back on, and playing it feels like a brand new video game. And I almost wonder if they did that to kind of tell people, our dedicated servers are there, look how well the game runs with them off. But the thing is, I have another video for you guys. Exclusive Ace did a video looking for the dedicated servers during the Call of Duty World War II beta, and guess what? They're there.
Many people throughout the first weekend of the beta have been having connection issues and they've been struggling a lot with that, and it feels like the connection is terrible for them, and they're insisting that there are no dedicated servers and that the tick rate must be like 5 or 10 or something like that, rather than the 60 that they've stated. So first up, let's answer the simple question, are there dedicated servers being used? Yes. Now, for those of you guys that are wondering, I was able to find all of the dedicated server locations that we can see so far, at least within the first weekend of the beta. I expect that this probably won't change, or at least it won't change much before the final build of the game, but these are the dedicated server locations. We also know, if you trace the IPs of these servers, that they are being hosted by Vulture as well as GameServers.com. So to answer the question about dedicated servers, yes, 100% there are definitely dedicated servers being used for COD World War II. This doesn't mean you're always going to be on a dedicated server, but they definitely are there, and I can speak from my personal experience. You can see my location there, it's Edmonton, Alberta, Canada. I connected to the Seattle dedicated server every single game I played while I was playing solo. Now, sometimes I was playing with my girlfriend who lives in Norway, and in those situations, obviously I was connecting to a few European servers. But for me at least, I was playing on a dedicated server 100% of the time throughout the beta weekend.
You can also see them in IW, Black Ops 3, and AW. Call of Duty Ghosts and Black Ops 2 also use that hybrid system. Though I do think Black Ops 2 barely uses it, and they basically just use Black Ops 2 to test out the hybrid system. But look, most of the time when you play Call of Duty, you're connecting to a dedicated server. When the game can't connect to a dedicated server, there aren't enough people on around that dedicated server, you're in a strange area with very few people, then it'll do peer-to-peer. And yes, that sucks, and I will admit that it's unacceptable. But most players, most of the time, are connecting to dedicated servers, and guess what? Lag still happens. But Call of Duty hit the nail on the head with another great improvement for Call of Duty World War II, and that is by having 60 Hz servers on console. And if you don't know why that's impressive, then look up server refresh rates. One example I can give you is that Battlefield 4 on the Xbox One and PS4 have 30 to 45 Hz servers. And man, does it suck to go from COD World War II to Battlefield 4. You can feel the difference. Now, is Call of Duty late to the party on 60 Hz servers? Yes, they are. But are they at the party now? Yes, and that makes me happy as a player of the COD games. So does it need a new engine? No. Does it have dedicated servers? Yes. Are they 60 Hz? Yes. But let me be fair. I do think that Call of Duty would benefit greatly by reinventing an engine from the ground up specifically for COD instead of basing it still off the ID Tech 3.0 engine. Also, I think listen servers should be abolished. I don't think you should ever have to guess whether or not you're in a dedicated server. I'm here to dispel misconceptions, not suck Call of Duty's dick. Activision should put all the billions of dollars they have into making sure that you always connect to a dedi. And if a Call of Duty in like 2 or 3 years goes only to listen servers or goes back to the hybrid system later to save them money or whatever, that's fine with me. But at least throughout the first year of a Call of Duty, dedis for everyone. Now the last big thing is that Call of Duty needs to change up its gameplay. It needs to take a year off and come back with a new, fresh experience. This is almost the biggest bullshit. Because you don't need to look up engines or refresh rates or be a nerd on Twitter and look into all this shit. No. You have to be, in my opinion, I'm sorry, how do I say this without being a dick? There's no way to do it. Okay, it's borderline imbecilic to assume that Call of Duty needs to change its gameplay formula and to just rebuild itself from the ground up. Now again, I can get behind the bad listen servers thing, or it could use a new engine. Sure, yeah, I'd be all for that. I would love it if the Call of Duty servers ran at 120 Hz. Obviously, I wouldn't be opposed to any more benefits. But when you're talking about gameplay, I'm going to have a problem. Call of Duty outsells every game, every year, because of what it delivers. Fast-paced, smooth, intuitive combat. Whether you want to play it in the evening with a beer after work, whether you want to hop on and just talk to your friends and shoot people, whether you want to do game battles or more competitive game modes against really skilled players, or play the campaign and then send it back, grind zombies to the highest round, Call of Duty delivers millions of people the experience they expect to pay for every year. Now each Call of Duty gets less and less sales, and I know that, but it's still always on top of the sales charts. So let me explain what's going on. People are getting bored of playing an annual game from 2007 to 2017. And that's assuming they didn't start playing COD earlier than 2007. 10 years of a franchise. You're bound to get bored, you're bound to want it to change, but why should it? See, Call of Duty already went through a massive change. Do you people not remember the last 3 years? Advanced Warfare, Black Ops 3, and IW were drastically different than every COD that came before it. The COD formula was there, but look at what changed. There was exosuits, exo abilities, there were cybernetic enhancements, characters, specialists, rigs, payloads. You could swim in Black Ops 3, you could go to space in IW. Running on walls, double jumping. The way Call of Duty was played was changed drastically, even though the formula stayed very similar. But when somebody went to go get a Call of Duty experience and they felt like they were playing an entirely different franchise because of the way the maps played, the movement worked, and everything else, they were unhappy. Imagine if there was a battlefield that suddenly got rid of all of its vehicles, shrunk down the maps, and was just infantry combat. Imagine if Halo ditched its entire meta and switched to a more Call of Duty style. Run, gun, aim, shoot, 3 to 4 shots to kill. Like, just picture a Halo spin-off game where you play as Marines versus Marines, and not Spartans, so you don't really get to tank all those bullets or jump very high. It's basically Call of Duty, but with Halo weapons and Halo things. That could be a really fun game, I'd probably buy it. But is that Halo? Is that what I expect from Halo as a franchise? If Titanfall got rid of all of its mechs and its advanced movement, why would I play it? One of the things that really irritated me about Titanfall 2 is when I was on the fence about buying it, people were saying, oh, just don't play the Titan mode, just play pilot versus pilot. And I was like, isn't that basically just Black Ops 3? It's just wall running, double jumping, fast TTK. I mean, it's just like Black Ops 3 with better maps. When I was in the mood for mech combat, and when I was in the mood for everything Titanfall had to offer, that's when I purchased it. And I would like to know what changes people want, because when we got drastic Call of Duty changes, there was a shit ton of backlash. And now people are thinking that Call of Duty World War II is just so boring. You're giving the fucking developers a headache. If you don't understand that every video game franchise delivers an experience that you may or may not want, and you think they all need to change, you have a problem with you, not the games. You're bored of Call of Duty, you want it to change, but hundreds of thousands of people are pre-ordering and buying it every year because they know what they want. Titanfall 2 stopped being a victim of its launch date and started being a victim of the fact that people want Battlefield. People want Call of Duty. So Titanfall fell victim to the fact that people went to their established franchises that they enjoy. Because after Titanfall 2 was on sale 15 plus times throughout the year, won all these awards, everybody loved it, it was better than IW, it was better than Battlefield 1, it's the best shooter ever made, oh my god, free DLC, most consumer friendly, best game, awesome shit ever. And then I hop on it the other day during a peak hour and there was only 3,000 people online, and I could barely find a match. And seeing how Call of Duty World War II outsold IW, and I, throughout the entire year, never had trouble finding an IW match, I'm gonna guess Call of Duty World War II has hundreds of thousands of players on every day. Remember when Black Ops 2 became backwards compatible and on just Xbox platforms alone, it had thousands of players. I went on once and there was 70,000. I don't even remember what the highest number was. And I wish Call of Duty World War II would share their player numbers because I'm guessing it's higher than that. Because already in the most played list on Xbox, it's miles above Black Ops 2. Emotional immaturity is when you don't understand your own emotions. So the level of emotional maturity that comes from people thinking that a franchise they used to play needs to drastically change is funny to me. You're not in the mood for it anymore. You're bored of it. It's a 6v6 Twitch arena shooter. If I had been playing Call of Duty since 2007, I would be more than bored right now. But I really only got into Call of Duty around 2010, and yes, I've played every Call of Duty from COD 1 to now. I'm not a noob or anything, but I got in around Black Ops 1 and I didn't really own a Call of Duty until around 2011, almost 2012. In fact, I got my Xbox 360 in the September of 2011 and only had max prestige by the middle of 2012 in Black Ops 2. And since then, I've played Battlefield, I've played Squad, I've played Insurgency, I've played Halo, I've played Doom, I've played Titanfall 1 and 2. Battlefield 3, 4, Hardline, and 1 have taken up a lot of my playtime, 1 the least of course. And if I wanted to further elaborate, Halo 1, 2, 3, and 4, and 5, and Halo Reach also took up a lot of my playtime since 2012. I was a Battlefield elitist when I first played Battlefield 3, and I was one again when I first played Battlefield 4. But I've grown up since then. I appreciate each game for the experience that it gives me. To say that Call of Duty needs to change itself from the ground up is a complete oversight as to why people play these games. What if League of Legends completely changed? What if PUBG became a team-based game and PUBG 2? What if Counter-Strike Go completely changed? Added iron sights, sprinting, destructible environments, vehicles. Might it be a cool game? Yes. But is it a game for somebody that wants Counter-Strike? Probably not. So I hope they keep tanks out of Call of Duty, vehicles and destructible environments. Just keep them out. I want Call of Duty to feel like Call of Duty. And when I want to destroy buildings and drive tanks, I'll play Battlefield. And when I want a realistic team-based experience, I'll go to Squad. And when I want a more arcadey competitive game, I will go to Halo. And in the meantime, you guys can look up where the dedicated servers are. You can look up what a server refresh rate is, for one thing. You can read that Wikipedia article and watch that video on the IW engine and how it's changed drastically over the last 10 years. And all of us can stop acting like the games that we prefer are what gaming should be, okay? The games you enjoy are not what gaming should be. Gaming is made up of more than just the things you want to play and the things you want to see. It's like movies, music, and TV, comics, and porn. There's a shit ton of it out there. You are not gonna like all of it, and sometimes you're gonna get plenty bored of something very specific. I hope you guys enjoyed this video. I hope you guys heard me. I hope, I don't know why I would even hope this, that this comment section below this video will not be full of hate and arguments, elitism, and defensive fanboys. We talk about the things we hate more than we used to. Let's talk about gun balance. Let's talk about map design. Let's talk about progression systems. And of course, let us all get together and collectively bitch about loot boxes. Funny enough though, I really like Call of Duty World War II. I got this really cool variant of a gun on stream today, and it was really cool looking. Doesn't change the stats, doesn't change the meta, doesn't change anything. It's just a cool looking gun. Hope they keep that system in place. and the only things they add to supply drops are cosmetic or able to be purchased with the in-game currency. Thank you guys so much for watching. This is a long video. It's been something on my mind and on my heart for a long time. I am a fan of Call of Duty. If I saw as many misconceptions about Battlefield as I did COD, then I'd make a video on that as well. But Call of Duty seems to be the franchise that everybody has something to say about, and very few people know much about at all. Thank you guys so much for watching. I will see you when I see you. Goodbye.